Great. So good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kristen Croyle. I'm the Dean at the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and my field is clinical psychology. And I've been at Oswego now for 2.5 years. And I think it would be great if we do some intros. So if you could introduce yourself briefly to the group so that we all know who's in the room. I'm going to call on a few people. Ready? Cassie, then Allison, then Carolina.
Hello, my name is Cassie. I'm the recreation coordinator at Campus Recreation and Fitness, and I've been here for about 8 years now.
Hi all, my name is Allison Rank. I'm an associate professor in the political science department. And this, I think, is my 8th year as well, ninth year maybe. And I'm also coming off sabbatical. So this is sort of my soft re-entry into meetings this week.
Hello, Carolina Ilie. I'm a professor in physics department. I'm here since 2008.
Thank you. Now let's do Mamta, Rasika, and Lara.
Hi, my name is Mamta Saxena, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Human Development. I am at SUNY Oswego since 2016.
Hi, my name is Rasika Churchill. I'm from Math Department, and I have been here for 4.5.
7 p.m. There's still an 80% chance. And even till midnight, it's
Hi, I'm Laura Donnelly, and I am zooming on my phone today, which I'm not entirely used to, so I apologize if there are glitches. I am an associate professor in English and creative writing, and I'm currently serving as director of creative writing, and that was my cat, Sue, who walked by a minute ago.
Well, Lara, your picture looks good and your audio sounds good. So Emily, Nicolette, and Jana.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Bouvier. I'm an associate professor in the psychology department, and I have been here since 2014, and I'm gearing up to start the chair position in the fall of this year.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicolette Lucas. I am the Residence Hall Director for RIGS. Been here for 2 years, and pronouns are she, hers.
Good morning, Gina Tucker, Director for Office of Business and Community Relations, and I've been at SUNY Oswego for 10 years.
Thank you. And now Marat, Zoe, and Ebru.
Hi everyone, my name is Murat. I am an associate professor of history. I'm also associate dean in class, and I've been here since 2013. Time flies.
Hi, I'm Zoe Miswich. I'm in the math department, and this is my 3rd year at Oswego.
Hi, my name is Ebru Altay Damkasi. I'm the English as a Second Language Programs Manager. I support faculty as well if your students have any ESL troubles, and I work out of extended learning. And it's been 10 years.
Thank you. Okay, Michelle, Tina, and Kathy.
All of a Compass people all together. So I'm Michelle Banla. I'm the director of Excel, and I have been here 20 years. This year's my 20th year. And we have, Kathy and I are big Strengths Quest people from way back when. So excited about this.
I'm Tina Cooper. I'm your internship coordinator on campus. I just entered my 5th year back with SUNY Oswego. And Michelle Banla had me take my Strengths Quest back when I was 19 and a senior.
Hi, everyone. Kathy Evans, Assistant Vice President for Academic Support. Talk about time flying. I've been here for 32 years. I've started when I was 12. Just kidding.
And Candace, Femi, and Kristen.
Hi, I'm Candace Hawk. I'm in the history department, and I am also the director of the digital humanities program. And I've been here since 2017.
Hi, Femi Damkasi, professor of chemistry, chair of chemistry, 15 years.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Haynes. I'm the Assistant Director of Rice Creek Field Station, and I've been here for 2.5 years.
And the only person we've left out is John. John, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm John Kane. I'm a professor of economics, econometrician and labor economist, and the director of the teaching center. And I've been here for 38.5 years now.
Yes, that definitely deserves some applause. Okay, so we are talking about leadership strengths today. And for anyone who happens to watch this on recording, I just want to clarify that we are going to be jumping off from this book, the strengths-based leadership book that in the back has an assessment code. And as far as I can recall, every one of you got sent a code, or should be shortly. I think there were a few that I ran out. So yay, that's always a good thing. So there are a few people who will be who elected to watch the recording later once they get their code. I am going to share my screen. Okay, so our session today is called Tapping into Your Leadership Strengths. And as I mentioned, we're using the Strengths Quest assessment as applied to leadership. And one of the things as I get started, I will note, heard Michelle and Kathy and Tina mention that they are Strengths Quest veterans. And I should clarify, there are actually trained people on campus that do Clifton strengths training. I am not one of those, but as a psychologist, I feel fairly comfortable talking about this kind of material. But I am thrilled if anybody in the room wants to jump in at any point and share. Typically, Strengthsfinder, the tool that you took, can be applied to many settings. This particular application is for leadership, but when it's used with students, the application is somewhat different. So why are we focusing on leadership strengths? One of the great things about the people in this room with us is that all of us in this room are leaders. We're all leaders. We lead in different circumstances. We lead in the classroom. We lead in different service assignments. We lead in our community organizations. Whenever you work with students, you are in a leading position. All of us are leaders, and focusing on our leadership strengths helps us to be more effective in the kinds of leadership roles that we step into, whether those are formal supervisory roles or whether they are informal. And it is a natural impulse of all of us to build our areas of weakness. It's a natural impulse. But when you're talking about actually many areas of life, but we're specifically talking about leadership today, if you focus on your areas of weakness, it tends to be really frustrating and get you limited gains. If you focus on your areas of strength, you can see payoff a lot faster. You tend to be more successful, and it's a more enjoyable experience. I can tell you, for example, that I come from a very musically talented family. I was born musically talented. I'm a musically talented person. I haven't blossomed that in the ways that I could, but I have excellent pitch. I can sight sing as a child. I could easily copy melodies. I could compose a little bit. It was a natural thing that I was born with. However, if you ask me to play basketball, I am so terrible, so terrible. And I could work on that hours and hours a day for the next year. And I would go from so terrible to just terrible. Because I do not only do I not have the height, I'm not really particularly coordinated, and it would be torture. So what would be the point of that? I would end up being not as terrible as I am and end up with something. Whereas if I put that time and effort into my musical talent, I could grow by leaps and bounds. So putting our efforts into our areas of strength tends to pay off a lot faster than putting our efforts into our areas of weakness. Another, being aware of our strength, yes, I've mentioned. So one thing that I'd like you to think about just for a minute is think about a department chair or a supervisor that you've worked with. What were some of the practices that they had, or some of the strengths that they exhibited that made them good at their jobs? I want you to think for 20 seconds. Don't say anything, just think. Okay, that's about 20 seconds. So let's see what you got. You're welcome to speak up. You're welcome to put stuff in the chat. What were some of the things that these people did? What were some of the strengths that they exhibited or the practices that they had that made them good at their jobs? And if you're raising your hand, I can't see you because I can only see like 4 people right now. So just speak up.
I can jump in. Someone who has been a supervisor of mine, one thing that I appreciated was, even though we're part of a team, I still felt like the approach was individualized, if that makes sense, right? So my individual needs were also met while simultaneously ensuring that there was a cohesiveness in subgroups or sub-teams.
Thank you, Emily. Kathy, I'm intrigued by your context comment.
So I just had a boss, many people remember Jim Scharfenberger. He just understood the history of the institution and why decisions were made and when they were made and the context that they were in. And it was really helpful for us as we move forward and made decisions for the future.
I had a department chair when I was very first on tenure track, and I came with ideas. Like I would see things and I'd say, I have an idea. What if we do this? And she would say, that's a great idea. Go do that. And it wasn't like a delegation. It was more like, you want to do stuff? We'll just remove the barriers. You go do stuff. If you don't want to do it, then you don't have to do it. And it was very helpful to me to have somebody who just let me do stuff. It's like, I think advising is broken in this department. I want to fix it. I want to do these things. She's like, go do those things. But if I had not come in with ideas, she was a very laid back person. Perhaps what I thought was broken would have stayed that way for years. Maybe. As I recall, John, correct me if I'm wrong, the recording doesn't capture the chat, right? Not really. It does? It doesn't. Okay.
It does not.
Okay, so I'm going to read a few of the chat comments. Every note's good communicator and a great advocate. Kristen says giving folks trust and autonomy, not micromanaging. Catalina says well organized, transparent, respectful, and inspiring. You ever had a great chair who's come in with some great ideas? Or a supervisor who comes in and says, I've got these ideas, let's go. Some, but not all of them do. Some don't come in with ideas, but some are great communicators and well organized. And one of the things that we learn about leadership is that, hold on, there we go. The best people in similar roles deliver excellence through different combinations of behavior. And this is actually one of the most important things that we're going to say all day, that if you put 2 people in the same job and they both were really excellent at their job, they would be excellent in different ways. They would do things differently. Oftentimes when in academic leadership, when you hear someone change, one of the things you'll hear them say is, well, I realized I wasn't the same as this previous person, so I'm going to do things my own way, which is like a normal insight for people as they're following leaders that they've admired, that we achieve excellence through different combinations of behavior. And you can also think of this in terms of your colleagues. You may have colleagues that you really admire, that you think are really excellent at their jobs, and they all do it differently. Every faculty that we have on campus does their job a little differently and emphasizes different things. And every excellent staff member on campus is the same thing. Actually, I'll say one more thing here. The reason it's important to think about this is that when you're thinking about your strengths, it's really easy to get sucked into thinking about remedying your weaknesses. Oh, but I can't do this thing the same way this other person did it. Totally fine. In fact, completely expected. Instead, you get to say, no, I do these other things and I do them really well. These are my strengths. If I invest my time and effort here, it's still going to be excellent. It's just going to be excellent in a different way. Okay, so let's talk about some quick terms. All of this, by the way, the work that we're going to be talking about is based primarily on Don Clifton's work. Don Clifton was an educational psychologist whose research was really focused on strengths and a bunch of other stuff. But he started at the University of Nebraska, really focusing on talent and tutors. He studied tutors for a long time. After he left University of Nebraska, he founded a survey organization that eventually became the Gallup organization. And he's considered one of the, let's say, grandfathers, I don't know, of positive psychology. One of the schools of thought in psychology is called positive psychology. It focuses on researching what makes people effective and excellent, as opposed to researching and studying and intervening with what makes people broken and requires intervention. Both are important perspectives, but you learn different things through different approaches. So Don Clifton, through his work, was really focused on what if we study people who are excellent in their roles, who have developed great strengths, see how they have developed those strengths and use that to benefit other people. So in Don Clifton's work, talents are the capacity for excellence. They're naturally occurring patterns of thought, feeling, and behavior that can be productively applied. He thought they were innate. So when I was telling you about my musical talent, that would be a talent. I was born with that. It probably has a genetic component. My mother was also a piano teacher, so I heard music 6 hours a day, every day, as she was teaching and playing music, and there was just music surrounding me all the time. But these are probably innate, and there are these capacities that you can grow. If you invest in talents through time, through experience, through study, those can become strengths. Strengths, a strength in his conceptualization is consistent near perfect performance in a particular situation where you can really do things well. And then one other, because we're just going to keep harping on this, that strengths lead to excellence. Weakness fixing doesn't lead to excellence, because no matter how much you work on those weaknesses, they typically don't develop into strengths. They just become less weak. So even though I just told you that talents and strengths are different things, we're going to be using the term somewhat interchangeably. So don't call me on that. I'm just owning it right now. So what did we just say? If you invest time in your weaknesses, they don't get super strong. They can get a little better, but they don't get super strong. However, if you invest time in your strengths, they can continue to develop over your lifetime. You can get a much higher return from investing in those strengths. Strengthsfinder is the inventory that you took. It's rooted in a study of pathways to excellence. I mean, literally, Clifton and his colleagues studied people who were excellent in their roles. Thousands and thousands of people, created multiple pathways to excellence that are captured in Strengthsfinder. It's not a typology. If you're familiar with things like the Myers-Briggs, which is really terrible, we can go into that one day if you want. That is a typology that sorts people into boxes, like you are in this box versus this box. Strengthsfinder is not like that. They're not mutually exclusive categories. So you can be strong in multiple things, not just one or another. The 34 categories in Strengthsfinders technically are talent themes. They're things that you have natural talent in or that you report talent in. If you invest in them, they can become strengths. If you're really curious and you like to know about reliability and validity information and how instruments are developed, there's an excellent technical report available through the Gallup organization. I shared that link with you earlier via email, but you can also Google it, Strengthsfinder technical report, and it will come up. Oh, which we're not going to go into because unless you're into it, it's really boring. But if you're into it, it's really interesting. So go take a look. So on Strengthsfinder, there are, as I said, 34 talent themes, and they're roughly organized into executing, influence, relationship building, and strategic thinking. And just as an example, here's my top 5 talent themes: achiever, maximizer, analyzer, intellection, and learner. Learner is actually my top one, and then maximizer, and then achievers down at the bottom of the 5. So just as a quick quiz. I'm likely to see payoffs if I, personally, Kristen, put a lot of effort into developing what? My talents in, my strengths in intellection, or learner, or maximizer, or analytical, or achiever. I'm likely to get frustrated if I put a lot of effort into developing what? Let's pick one. Discipline, or competition, or my positivity or relator. Now, what's wrong with this statement? Oh no, I don't have strengths in relationship building, or I don't have many strengths in influencing or executing. What is wrong with that statement?
You're looking at the weaknesses instead of the strengths.
And just because those don't come out as my top 5 strengths doesn't mean I'm not good at them. It actually doesn't mean anything. It just means that if I put a lot of effort into those, I'm probably not going to get a lot of payoff. And remember, these are all pathways to excellent performance. So I have many options for pathways of excellent performance. Just because executing isn't one of them, that's okay. I can invest my efforts in the achiever pathway. Good. Let's move on. So let's talk a little bit about your talents. And what are we going to remember? These are all pathways to excellence. None of them are bad. They're all good things. They can all get you where you want to go. So these are the things I want you to think about. How well do you feel that your signature themes describe you? Actually, putting your faces over my text so I can't see my slides. There we go. How well do you feel your signature themes describe the ways in which you most naturally think, feel, and behave? Which of your signature themes do you use most frequently? And were you surprised by anything in the report? I want you to take a minute to think about those, and then we're going to talk about them. I'm also putting them in the chat so you can see them there. John, can we do breakout rooms for just a minute?
Yes, how many would you like?
Let's do 3 people to a room. So,
Okay.
okay, you got, let's do 5 minutes in a breakout room. Do you need those questions again? Do you see them in the chat? You got them? Okay, I will also repost them just in case after you go. So 5 minutes.
Being recorded.
Laura, you're sideways. Thank you, John. That was seamless. How did it go? What did you learn? Anything you want to share?
Hi, Kristen. I can kick us off because I was just telling the group that one of the things that was really insightful for me reading about the categories is as someone who started off and most of my career spent as a faculty member, oftentimes people ask me all the time why I went into administration, and I really felt like some of these themes help cultivate an answer for that question, which is I had restorative, which means I sort of like to solve problems. And then some of the other ones were more insightful in how I go about solving problems and what evidence do I ask. And so I was very analytical and asking for evidence of how things are occurring, staying positive and individualizing the experience. So for me, I think I haven't done this particular leadership assessment before, but in reviewing it, it helped me gain a little bit more insight into answering that question, because I think I had my own narrative about why I went into this, but I think this really helped explain to me why I think I gravitate towards administration. So I found it really insightful.
I don't want to co-share with Michelle Banla if I can. I know Michelle and I weren't just in the same, you'll understand in a second. We were texting this morning because our strengths have changed over the years. And I found something that she messaged me earlier really interesting, because my strengths, since I took them as a senior in college to now, I've now added in maximizer and individualization, which have always been, at least for the more recent future, two of Michelle's top strengths. And I mentioned to her that, I feel like mentorship is a huge aspect of how we grow our strengths over time. And for the past 5 years, I've been under Michelle's mentorship. So it's really interesting to me that she now actually has added a couple that I previously were strong in, and vice versa.
Thank you. And I'll mention for those of you who care, test retest reliability is good on this measure, but you change over time. So if you were to take the assessment again in 5 years, particularly if you had a significant role change, you might see a little shifting of things that are moving up, things that are moving down a little bit. But I can tell you, for example, competition for me is never going to go up. I've always been, I'm intellectually competitive. I like to talk about interesting things, but beating people is not on my radar, and it never will be. And it doesn't matter. You could make me the coach of the hockey team and it would still be really low, and we would just lose all the time. So
Kristen, one of the things they talk about with the strengths quest is that initially they gave out people their top 10, and they had people try to process those, and it turned out to be too much. So sometimes we talk about if one of them moves around, it could be that it was your number 6 and it's just popping into your number 5 because of situations in your life. But that it's not at all uncommon for there to be 1 or 2 that pop in or out of your top 5 over time.
Thank you. I am going to reshare. And we'll move on a little. So with the rest of our time, I want to talk a little bit about applying your strengths, which is what makes this different than this typical Strengthsfinder. So one of the things that if you checked out this section in the book, there is a section on a study that Gallup did on what do people need from leaders, in which they worked with over 10,000 people, having them identify what characteristics they admired and desired from their leaders, and it in somewhat of an open-ended way. For those of you who do survey construction, they didn't say, tell us, here's 28 words, check off the ones that are important to you. Instead, they elicited the comments from people and sorted them out, factor analyzed them, and so on. And these are the 4 that came out: trust, compassion, stability, and hope. And I don't think any of these would be a surprise to any of you, but certainly they are 4 critical components for leadership. So in other words, what do people want me from their leaders? They want someone who can build trust, who has integrity, who is honest, someone who can show compassion, who is caring about the people that they work with, who communicates that in an open way so that you know that they have compassion for you. You want someone who has stability, who kind of exudes stability, both for the organization. You don't want them just coming and going real fast, but also you want to have a sense of stability of their leadership, that you know who they are and they're going to act like that consistent person from year to year. And also they want hope from their leaders. They want both stability for now and hope for the future. And a leader that can cover all 4 of these bases is usually in good shape. So how do we use these strengths, the strengths that we have, to cover these 4 leadership needs? So if you're curious, these are the top 5 global talent themes among the, I think it's up to 26 million people who have taken Strengthsfinder. Worldwide, these are the top 5. The top 5 in the US is actually the same top 5. They're in a slightly different order, but you can't see the order on this anyway. So since learner is top 5 globally, top 5 in the US, and also probably a pretty common one in this group, I thought we would talk about learner as an example. So let's look at learner. So if you don't have learner, you may not have looked closely at it. Here's the short version. People who have a strength in learner have a desire to learn and continuously improve. The process of learning rather than the outcome excites them. So how can someone who has a talent in learner use that talent to develop strengths in leadership in these 4 different areas? That's the question. Okay. So let's see if we can get some ideas going. If you are strong in learner, or if you've worked with a leader that you think is strong in learning, how can you use your passion for learning to build trust with your colleagues? And you can say, get us started.
I was going to say learning about your colleagues could build trust.
Learning about your colleagues can build trust. Absolutely. And I think that's actually a really good one to show compassion as well. That if you are legitimately interested in the people that you work with, that you want to learn about what is interesting to them and learn with them, that shows a caring for them as well as a way to build trust. Have you had leaders that you have trusted that have said, I don't know how we should approach that. Let's figure this out together. That is a comment that sometimes can build trust and is also a comment from a learner perspective. Let us learn about this together. We are going to figure this out by learning things. If you're strong in learner, you can be open that learning is a mutual, not a one-sided interaction. It helps to build ties with people that you're working with. You can also express appreciation and enthusiasm for the things that your colleagues are learning. I had an associate dean that I had an office next to for several years who was right at the end of his career. I mean, he kept saying he was right at the end of his career. It wasn't like a secret. He was in his early 70s and he still tried every teaching innovation first. He was the first person on campus to use clickers. He was the first person on campus to use all the features of Blackboard. He was he would try everything. And like in a systematic way, not in just like I'm just going to flip from one thing to another. He would try it. He would talk about his experience. He would improve it. He would talk about his experience. We would talk about it together. He was consistently trying to learn about how to be a better teacher. And he would share those things in this enthusiastic way. And that kind of attitude built trust with his students and with his colleagues to be able to feel free to talk about their teaching innovations. How can you use learning to show compassion? I think, Nicolette, that you had a good suggestion there. Co-learning can also be a way to show, to create a bond with the people that you work with. How can learning provide stability? That's a tougher one. If you value learning and you invest in other people's learning, you say, I want you to gain new skills. It's a way to show people that you expect to invest in them for the long term. So if you, for example, are working with an administrative assistant and you send that person off for training, what you're trying to say is, I care enough about you and I expect to employ you for a long time. So let's invest in your strengths and help you to grow so that you are better in your job. What about creating hope? That's a hard one, isn't it? How can you use a learning strength to create hope for people, to help them look towards a brighter future? Well, you can think about it.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure if this would be the learner trait exactly, but I'm thinking in the context of teaching in particular, that so much, I teach writing classes, and so much of what I'm doing is encouraging students not to see challenge as a sign of failure, but as, a part of the process. And so I spend time discussing with them how other writers, these well-known writers they admire, go through this process also, and that really what that practice of being a writer is that sort of continual learning. So I don't know if that's explaining learner process to someone else, but I think it's also just sort of being in it with students and letting them know that, I don't know, seeing and conveying the promise there as opposed to it meaning like failure.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And it's a beautiful way to talk about this learning strength, that when you have a learner strength, I think, but remember, this is a strength that I have that I particularly affiliate with. Like, I own this strength. I love this strength. I think learner is an inherently hopeful strength because we're always striving to figure more stuff out and learn more things and like discover the world, right? That's one of the ways that we can use it to create hope. If at an individual level, people tend to be very disengaged from their jobs and discouraged in them if they are not learning. So if you have to do the same thing in the same way, day after day for years at a time, that is I think, significantly discouraging experience. And people tend to quit unless they're really trapped in their jobs. It is actually one of the things that makes being faculty and staff at a university oftentimes more rewarding, because you're expected to figure stuff out, and like you want to teach your class differently, teach it differently, do something different, incorporate a new reading, try a different technique. If your staff position isn't working out the way you want, oftentimes at universities, not always, depends on who your supervisor is and what's going on, you can oftentimes go and say, I think we could do this better. Let's do something different. And oftentimes there's room to explore doing things differently. A leader or supervisor who can invest in people like that, who says, I care about you, you do things new, learn things that are new, as a way to use learner as a strength in leadership. Okay. By the way, all of this, you don't have to come up with by yourself, because Gallup already did it for you. So I do have your books. They are at my house right now because we are telecommuting because of the snow. So if you desperately want your book, you can come to my house and get it. But if you want to wait till next week, they'll be at the office next week. There is also, so let me show you. So the second half of the book, which I did not send to you, has this whole section, goes on and on about each strength and how each of the strengths can be applied to these 4 areas. How you could use learner, for example, to show compassion and to provide stability. Alternatively, if you found your longer report, Did you know you have a longer report? You got a short report. It's like 5 pages, right? There's a longer report. It's like 16-ish. If you found your longer report, the same material that's in the book is also in that report, and it shows specifically how to apply each of your 5 signature strengths to these areas of leadership. Murat, you found the longer report. You want to give people a, do you remember how you found it?
Yeah, once you finish the survey, you land on a page where you can see the short report. It's right there at the top. If you go down, I think when you log back in, you will see the same page. If you go down, there is a section that says view all the reports or some similar language. And you will have done 3 reports. One is the one that pops up, the 5-page. The other one is insights, very similar again, around the 5 categories that you were given. And the other one is the third one is the longer one, which is, for me, it was 19 pages. It gives you examples, what you can do in each of these 4 categories that people want from their leaders. It's very actually insightful report. So, but it's there at the landing page once the survey is done, and you can log back in with your the number that was given in the book or via email.
Excellent. Thank you, Murat. And this is actually what was the most useful for me, honestly. I always knew that I was a learner, and I like the other strengths were not a big surprise to me. I hope they weren't a huge surprise to you. But I didn't understand how that can make you a leader. Like, it helped me to reconceptualize the things that I am naturally inclined to do in a way that I can apply them to a leadership setting, in a way that's authentic to me. Because I can pretend to lead like someone else, but I'm not going to do it well. But if I can lead from my own strengths, it will be authentic leadership for me, and much more effective and easier and more enjoyable for me and the people that I work with. So one more quick slide. So how can you develop your strengths? So here's some suggestions. Read the long report, or the sections in the book that it is literally the exact same material. The words are exactly the same. Make some notes about what applies to you, where you could learn or apply or practice some of those points. I do also suggest that you share your strengths report with a colleague. This can be really interesting and useful. I was able to do this a few years ago with someone where we swapped reports, and she helped me in conversation with her, for example. She helped me understand how Maximizer, which is one of my top 5, she's like, well, every time I sit with you, you're connecting people. Oh, this person's working on that, and this person has this other idea. What if we put them together, and how can we support that? And she helped me to see the ways that I was already using some of the strengths so that I could better utilize them. Another possibility is that you could think about a couple of instances where you've been successful recently. How have you used those strengths, your strengths in those situations? And then a challenge that you have coming up. So knowing how you've used your strengths in the past, how can you use your strengths for this challenge? So if you've got faculty conflict or peer conflict as a staff member that you need to resolve, you can try and approach that like everybody else does, and that may or may not be successful. But you could consider what strengths you have instead and say, how can I use these strengths to develop trust, to show compassion, and perhaps that will be a more successful approach for you. I see that we are at time, so I'm going to say thank you. And I have a few questions for you, because I always do. I would very, very much appreciate it if you would take just a minute to do a feedback form so I can find out what was helpful to you and not helpful about this time. I really do read those, use them to think about what we could possibly do in the future, and how to modify the kinds of practices and the kinds of skills that I'm bringing to people as well. So I would appreciate it if you would do that feedback form. I know that John will need to kick us out fairly soon, but if you want to share any last thoughts, I would love to hear them.
Just thank you. Appreciate all the information you shared.
This was fun. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you, Kristen. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you. And I appreciate your willingness to share today. I know that's not always easy. And thanks to John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. I will stop the recording.
Okay.